Alright, y'all, we're back with the 7th installment of the 3 for 30 series. For those of you who are new to the series and are just watching for the first time, this is basically an opportunity that I gave myself to spew some points about each and every NBA team as they head into the off-season. And for today's episode, we have the Chicago Bulls, who just recently finished this past season at the record of 22-43. So let's get right into it. But before we hop in, make sure you check the description, follow me on Twitter, give this video a like, comment if you agree or disagree with anything that I'm about to say, and as always, drop a subscribe. Alright, so it finally looks like the Bulls are on the up and up after a few shaky seasons and lots of 7th overall picks. Now, the first point that I am going to talk about today is the fact that they have a head coaching change. They finally fired the very not good Jim Boylen and decided to go down the path of hiring Billy Donovan, former OKC Thunder coach. Before Donovan has even stepped foot onto the Chicago Bulls practice court, I am 100% guaranteeing that this is a much better signing than sticking with Jim Boylen. A lot of the players were not huge fans of Boylen, and I bet we're very pleased to see that they moved on and got Billy Donovan, who is a much more respected coach by the players around the league. I know there was Zach LaVine had a clip go kind of viral where he was playing war zones, mid-game, and his chat told them that Billy Donovan had been hired as the head coach of the Bulls.
Oh damn, we got Billy Donovan as our next coach.
And LaVine, who was quite noticeably Boylen's biggest hater on the team probably, he was very pleased to hear the news that Donovan had been signed. Now, before the Boylen era in the NBA officially ends, I'd like to share my personal favorite moment from it when he told reporters that Luke Cornett, who was a starting center at the time this past season, he said that he gave him some pretty high praise, and the commentators for the Bulls laughed at it very hard. So I'll roll the clip real quick.
Believe it or not, Jim Boylen said that he reminds him of Robert Horry. That was something that Boylen brought up yesterday at practice, Neil and Stacey. Of course, Boylen spent time as an assistant with the Rockets. And he said Horry was one of the first guys who could rim protect at a high level and make threes. We all know Robert Horry could shoot a three. Luke Cornett with one made three tonight, but that's the idea. He said Luke Cornett has rim protection, blocked shots, and he liked how he guarded Giannis Antetokounmpo in the first half against the Bucks, gentlemen.
What? Neil Funk, Stacey King.
Oh my goodness. Robert Horry?
Yeah,
Robert Horry was a great two-way player. Won rings too. Oh my goodness.
corner.
Now, looking into what Billy Donovan can offer to this Bulls team, we all know what he was able to do this past season with a very young OKC Thunder team. I know CP3 also had a lot of influence on the team and their upbringing, but Billy Donovan also did a great job coaching. I know some of his playoff moves were questioned a little bit by NBA fans, but for the Bulls, what they need right now is just someone who can help develop their young talent, get them better, get them progressing. I think Donovan's a perfect fit for that. Also, Billy Donovan and all of his years at OKC won at least 44 games every single season, which is probably not going to come with him to Chicago, seeing as they just simply do not have the talent that a lot of these Thunder teams have had. Donovan has been blessed with the likes of Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, as I mentioned. So he probably won't be topping 44 wins again, but it does go to show you that he does succeed with talent. He's succeeded with some, not so great talent compared to other teams around the league. I know the Thunder were not even supposed to come close to the playoffs this past year, and they ended as the 5th seed and forced Houston to a Game 7 and could have easily made round 2 if a few bounces fall their way. All in all, I think Donovan is a good signing. I don't think he was the best one in my personal opinion, but again, you can't go bad with him. And moving on to the second point, I like to call Zach LaVine this offseason, I like to call him the key to the Bulls' future. That is because Zach LaVine currently has 2 more years on his contract this next season and the one after that. No options, he just is for the team for the next 2 years. There's been a lot of trade rumors around Zach LaVine and the Bulls maybe giving him up for some more young guys, but I don't really think that's the case for them. I think that if I'm the Bulls, I'm looking to make Zach LaVine the current centerpiece of my team. I know he stepped into that role this past season, He scored almost 25 points a game, which was very impressive, even if he was taking a lot of shots on a not so good team. To be able to score that much and still shoot the ball decently efficiently is something every player should be proud of. But again, Zach LaVine has 2 more years, and that basically gives the Bulls 2 years to develop all this young talent they've compiled up, all these 7th overall picks and other guys, and they're going to need to make it look like to LaVine that this is a team that can win a few years down the line. Looking at this young talent that they have, start off with Kobe White, their most recent draft pick from the last draft. 19-year-old point guard who mostly came off the bench this past season, and I expect more of that in this coming season due to Tomas Satoransky maintaining that starting job. The Bulls seem to like him. But back to White, he didn't get off to the greatest start exactly, but if we look at what he was doing after the All-Star break, he was averaging almost 25 points per game, 4.3 assists per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, and all that on 47, 41, 89 shooting splits. And obviously he's probably not going to hit those marks next season, but if he can even just give you 15 to 17, maybe if he even comes close to 20 points per game in a bench scoring role next year, and he can solidify himself as a very young scoring talent, it could be, obviously they're not the same player, but just for the reference sake, he could be Harrow-esque in his ability to provide a spark off the bench and get some points when it's needed. And again, Kobe White's only 19, so that being said, Satoransky's contract's up in a few years, so White could easily be taking over the starting point guard spot. A White-LaVine backcourt may not be the best defensively, but it's definitely something that can be feared by other teams in a few years down the line. And then 2 drafts ago, the Bulls selected Wendell Carter Jr. from the 7th spot, and the big man hasn't exactly been everything that he was hyped up to be, but he still has shown that he could be a solid big in this league. He's a little undersized, so he does fit the modern 5-spot era, where he is going to be not as big, not as strong, but he will be quick and able to guard some of these smaller guys he might face, while still being able to pull down rebounds. And the rebounds were a very big thing for him this season. You can notice a big bump in his rebounding averages, and I mean, other than that, there wasn't too much progression, which should worry Bulls fans a little bit, but like Kobe White, Wendell Carter's only 20 years old. He still has plenty of years to figure it out, and he has the time to do that. And then the last young guy I wanted to mention is Lauri Markkanen, who was selected either 3 or 4 drafts ago, again from the 7th pick. Markkanen's now 22, and he put up great numbers in his first 2 seasons, was averaging over 30 minutes a game, was scoring, getting somewhat close to 20 points a game. I think he was around 15, 16. But this past season, we did notice a big drop-off in minutes, shot attempts, and just all of scoring in general. And I think a lot of this was due to the Boylen era and just the terrible excuse for a front office that the Bulls had during the Markkanen's first couple of years in the league. They were strategizing, and in their strategy, they were taking away shots from Markkanen and spreading it amongst the team. And this was a very terrible idea from the start. It upset Markkanen, probably played a big role in why Boylen got fired this current offseason. And I mean, it's completely justified for Markkanen. He is a good shooting talent, still has to work on his defense a little bit, but if you give him the reins to the offense and let him get his shots up, he can definitely be an effective and efficient scorer. And out of the 3, he's the most likely that I could see moving on at some point in the coming years, but for now, if he can get back to what he was doing his freshman and sophomore years, only good things to come for the Bulls. And now it's important for these young guys to improve upon their games, not necessarily quickly going into this next season, but over these next 2 years, if they can show some real progress early on, that will only help the Bulls even more, because they currently do not have the money or the salary cap space to go out and make a big signing this offseason. Unfortunately, they have someone named Otto Porter who will be taking up $28 million with a player option during this season. They traded for him. They ate that contract. They did it on purpose. They got a pick out of it. But it is unfortunate for this offseason because they can't supply LaVine with a second piece or go out and get a bigger piece that can then make LaVine the second scorer. But either way, this offseason will not be the one of the big splash for the Bulls. So, like I said, it'll be important for the young core to develop and show that they are progressing well and heading in the right direction, so that next offseason, when Otto Porter is off the book for the Bulls, they can go out and get that number one, get that number two if they trust Zach LaVine, all that good stuff. They can go make that big splash, have some fun in free agency, and it's going to be a good good free agency class. And if all this pans out, I'd be excited if I'm a Bulls fan. I also want to make a quick point at the end of the free agency section here that restricted free agent Chris Dunn will most likely be getting a good offer from an up-and-coming team looking to find their way into contention. Chris Dunn is going to be a great backup point guard somewhere, defensive specialist, all defensive team worthy, and I just don't think it would be the best idea for the Bulls to throw a bag at him if a team does offer him a big contract. I don't think there's a reason for them to try and hold on to Dunn. I mean, if they just need some sort of a backup point guard or backup two guard, I think they could go find someone in free agency, or even just make a deal with someone that can hold them over for a year or two. Chris Dunn, I just don't really see them fitting in their long-term plans, but I just want to throw that out there for you guys. And then lastly, I want to talk about the third point on the board, which is simply just the 4th overall pick, what I think the Bulls should do with it. As I already mentioned, Otto Porter will most likely be gone after the season, and the Bulls don't see him in their future plans, and that will just leave an open spot for whoever they hopefully take at the 4th overall pick to take over the starting job and go from there. Now, obviously, if a guy like Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball falls to the 4th overall pick, you take them, no doubt. Even if LaMelo isn't exactly the positional need that you have, he's still just a great player and could be a franchise changer, and there's no reason to not take him. But if those two guys are gone, as they're projected to be, a few guys who I think are primed to be a great selection for the Bulls at that 4th spot, guys like Onyeka Okongwu, Obi Toppin, or Denny Advia. And if I butcher those pronunciations a little bit, I'll take full responsibility for it. But I digress. All three of these guys are set to be wings, forwards. A few of them have some different specialties, like Denny's more of a playmaker. He can perform with the ball in his hands, whereas Toppin and Okongwu are more defensive and rebounding based. But they all would be perfect selections for the Bulls, who already have great young scorers like Kobe White and Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen. And then if you can get one of these three guys, they could help glue this defense together with Wendell Carter. And I mean, no matter who they get, hopefully just someone out of that trio, I think it'll be a great future for the Bulls, especially if they can, like I said, just get this young talent going, make a big splash in free agency. The Bulls can be right back in this thing as a good destination for the NBA. And that will do it for the Chicago Bulls, 3 for 30. Again, let me know down in the comments what you think I got right, what you think I got wrong. Drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And most importantly, thank you for watching.